Well, getting ready here for the draft. DRX selecting the blue side.
All right, Vi coming in quick.
Vi banned first.
Yeah, that did not happen yesterday, and we did end up seeing a 3-game series that I don't think necessarily would have eventuated otherwise, but Bro will not allow Vi to be played this time around. The Rumble and Yone bans do make a lot of sense here. And Pantheon will be the jungler of choice between the Pantheon and the Xin Zhao, I think was the big consideration. I think Pantheon has kind of risen, though, because his global presence is so relevant, and some of the nerfs to Xin Zhao don't make him irrelevant, but definitely feels like Pantheon is the worst of two evils. Let's see what this final ban is going to be here on blue side. Perhaps even a Varus ban wouldn't shock me, considering Bull's playstyle, his champion pool. We'll take away Closer's Ahri instead.
Yeah, definitely a target ban. You see a lot of like Talia and then first pick Azir for our teams that are higher up in the rankings, but I think at this level, just want to take away one of Closer's best picks, if not his best right now.
Could just see a Xin Zhao lock in here. Would be very safe, but otherwise a strong AD carry pick could fit the bill. As Jace also relevant here, but they want the Talia, which will also weaken the available Azir that you mentioned with Ahri gone as well. This does feel like, considering the bans, a very wise first pick here. I think the Korean side, all eyes on Bull for this rotation. That's why he's been put front and center on the camera. Can have a response here in mid and a AD carry pick, or you could prioritize jungle and AD carry and save that mid pick for third. It's a lot of time being used here from Bro. And despite the Talia pick that will lock Closer's Azir into it, I think there was probably some pushback on that one, but yeah, ultimately decide to go for it.
I mean, there's still like everything left up in this game, outside of the bans, obviously. We are playing Fearless, but it's game 1, so he could have gone for a Rise, he could have gone for a Victor, he could have gone for even a Silas. I mean, and instead he's just playing the one champ that Talia's really, really good into. I mean, Talia's just really, really good in general, but especially against Azir, as Xin Zhao does get locked in because it wasn't taken by Sponge.
Now, if they put Bull's pick in that third spot, it would be blind, of course, assuming DRX don't lock in their AD carry pick here, so they're going to look for the Wukong. But it looks like they want to make sure Bull has at least counter pick if he's going to go for one of those aggressive picks. And the fact that they lock in the Xin Zhao here is a great boon for them. See the Scion to come through with this. Wukong gives you insane frontline. There's already so much objective control with this Talia. And things are starting to feel a little bit strong right now with what DRX have put together, whereas the Azir, the synergy with the Xin Zhao isn't quite there. And then the Yorick pick here for Morgan shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, especially with that face-up Scion. But now things get a little bit murky for the bottom lane. Bull won't necessarily be able to pick one of those strong laning picks that he is looking for. Again, he might just break his own playstyle here and play something completely different, but that's not what I'd expect based on the few games on stage here at LCK that he's played. See if he gets targeted here. The Alistar is always a safe bet on blue side. That's that first ban, second phase.
I mean, Varus, Kalista, Draven, definitely where he's going to be looking. They're all available.
Yeah, all 3 of those.
I wouldn't put LazyFeel on playing like a Draven, so I wouldn't even be surprised if they try to pick up the Kalista. But against Talia, can be a bit of an issue, even with the Scion as well. Not the best tank buster, so maybe going to look elsewhere.
And if they just ban Renata here, it feels like you've eliminated a lot of the synergy that Bull could pull out in that laning phase. Because you can't ban all of those other picks that synergize well with Renata that you mentioned, but you could just ban Renata instead. And I think that might be a wise option here for the side of DRX. They'll take the Varus that we talked so much about away first instead. And it could just be Renata, and then he's like, I'm happy to play Kalista, I'm happy to play Draven. What do you got in response, LazyFeel? The biggest problem is the Nico is still up, which is one of the best answers, of course, here for DRX. And this is a really intense moment, and, you know, the Varus is gone. It looks like he's just going to blind the Kalista, and they get to keep the option open between what's left between the Nico and the Renata here.
Yeah, and both will work pretty well. I think the Kalista is fine just because you have the Azir, you know, to deal with the Scion, and, you know, it's not great into the Talia, but, you know, Bull can probably make it work, the player that he is.
I also
looking at the Nico.
The Nico is incredibly strong into Renata, but it's not a free win by any means. It has to be piloted well. So Nico does get locked here first, and what's going to be LazyFeel's option? A tough one, because again, this is one of the strongest laners from challengers you're going to see in Bull. And LazyField has been great out of the lane. So something that he's going to be able to pair up well with this Nico.
Like
looking
Xayah.
nervous. I think Xayah might be the correct call here. Kaisa, though.
Oh. Ezreal? Kaisa? Okay. Kaisa, Nico.
This works really well with their draft, though, because it's a draft that can both front to back really well, but can kind of dive in as well. When you consider the Nico, the Wukong they already have, the really strong front line, and the Taliyah warping objectives, I think it's a fairly risky call, but if piloted correctly, incredibly strong here. And the Renata was kind of a no-brainer, as this is what Bull does, right? So when we're all in these lanes, if the route doesn't connect for Andil, if you misstep, if you're caught out by for any reason, if Kroko goes for an earlier gank and Bull starts to get ahead, it gets really tough to play out. I do think they have the correct matchup here. They had a good read putting the Nico in. It's not a free win, like I said earlier, by any means, and I think that for DRX here, Yehu coming in as well after a long time, a long hiatus here, is going to be a big question. I think Closer pulling the Azir out into the Taliyah says he's got a vote of lack of confidence in this Taliyah pick. He's saying, I'm one of the best mids right now. Like, I'm having my best individual years, Wolf keeps saying.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the Taliyah being strong into Azir. I think I'm just the better player. Big confidence in the drafting, and I think predictable drafting, but smart drafting from Bro. DRX are going to be the ones who have to finesse.
Absolutely, as we have a lot of fans out here. As came from Frankfurt to watch DRX.
And the other guy just came from like just the neighborhood right across the way. That's what he said, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't quite come as far.
It's almost as far as Ox is from Chronicler's house. Yeah, so pretty interesting drafts that we do have here. Kalista going to Bull in game number 1. Seems pretty good for him. Let's see how it goes here in this game number 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Game number 1, match 83. This week is the end of round 2, and then we'll move into Road to MSI. That'll be next week on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, so make sure you guys are tuning in for that.
Saw on the player cam, Bull grinning as we loaded in, and LazyField looking super serious, super focused. And I think for LazyField, on one hand, he's already kind of earned his spot, right? He's become the main starter, but Teddy is always lurking still, right? Like one of the most accomplished AD carries of all time, whereas Bull sees this as another opportunity. He got the champion. He's always enjoyed playing, right? He's ready to school LazyField here, whereas it feels like LazyField's defending his seat that he's rightfully earned, and I think there's been a lot of hype around him this season. He's been one of the most beloved rookies in 2025. Bull looks ready to ruin his day. And you don't get to see moments like this all too often, but this season, we've had so many call-ups, we've had so many substitutions, we've had so much experimentation. I think it's what a lot of people were expecting when we had the challenger system change where you could call up at any time. That never really happened, never really hit fruition until now, as Bull is looking for an aggressive level 1.
Yeah, should work pretty well for them. Even the tempo barrier coming in. Same for LazyField. But the Ren does come through at the end of it all. And a lot of CS miss from both sides. Doesn't really feel like Bull and Palu got a huge win in that trade.
Bull still has heal, though.
Yeah, the heal does come through. And now LazyField is going to be pushed out. So it wasn't good until they went for the second trade. And now they're feeling pretty good about this pressure.
Yeah, this is going to be really dangerous here for LazyField. We'll have to react to a flash play instantly if he wants to make sure that he can continue to stay in this lane. And frankly, I just don't think it's reasonable anymore. He's going to look for the recall here, and that's a huge win. Getting the early heal out of Andil means that they had that heal advantage to push forward one more time. Now level 2 advantage. They knew they were going to get it. And LazyField already, after the level 1 exchange and a good wraparound from Bull and Palu, massively behind.
Yeah. Well, at least the wave is going to push in, and he is going to miss. It looks like probably 2 or 3 minions. Not very good, as Bull and Palu get a nice back timing. Doesn't really feel like a cheater because it's just you just pushed your enemy out of the lane that early.
Yeah.
It's better than dying, So it doesn't look good, doesn't feel good, but at least you didn't get first blooded at level 2, which could have happened had you stuck around, been greedy, try to play for it.
it feels bad for LazyField that he doesn't have enough money to really buy anything relevant. You know, he buys refillable potions, and that's going to be helpful, but usually with these kind of trades, it's not about like, oh, they chipped away at me and I'm just going to heal and hang out. It's still relevant, it's still useful, but Bull gets an item that's going to help him in the lane and also going to be relevant for the rest of the game. So the longsword buy versus the refillable feels pretty rough, but see how the rest of this lane goes, because it is not, again, a good matchup, you know, into the Nico, and Andal has a lot of agency here now that he has level 3.
Yeah. Definitely the hardest part was early on. You see that Morgan, he got this free Yorick pick into the Sion. Sion, the blind pick for Rich. And, you know, a bit risky for sure. I think that Sion is very strong regardless, but especially with Yorick coming into the meta in such a big way, it does feel like when that's up in game number 1, can be very risky to just pick the Sion.
Rich has been pretty impressive on Sion, though, I have to say. And not just in staving off pressure and being a tanky boy later on, but I feel like his side laning has been pretty clean. He's really mastered the champion and looks very good on it. So feels like kind of like just two top laners who are playing and living their best life. Morgan's like, yeah, I want to play this into Sion. I want to play Yorick into Sion. And Rich is like, I want to play Sion into anything, and I'm just going to do fine. And I think that the Sion has a better role to play, team composition-wise, though, here for DRX. The Yorick is pre-medicated on a lot of control. Grubs, for example, being taken is really huge. As might have just cast her cursed a little bit.
Well, he's going to flash. I think as long as he doesn't die, it's fine. But certainly got himself into a rough spot. Was probably pushing that, trying to push in that wave, and got a little bit too ahead of himself. So unfortunate for him, but he can just TP back to the lane. And yeah, I feel like especially for our Rise teams, Rise group teams, playing the Yorick can be a little bit of a bait at times, where it's like, you know, it's a very difficult champion to play around, and a lot of our teams, even the best teams, don't only focus on team fighting and don't only focus on split pushing. They oftentimes feel forced into team fighting, and it comes back to bite them. So I am curious to see how Morgan does on it.
Yeah, we'll have to check in on that later. Sponge is looking for a steal, and he's just going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a control ward that spotted him, but still, just a straight-up flip for the smite fight, as Sponge will go down. That's first blood given over to Bull, but I still feel like getting that dragon is worth it this early.
Oh, 100% agree with you, especially when you consider, like, it shouldn't be possible to get that dragon with the bottom side prio they had, which is why they started the dragon in the first place. Get into your due diligence to try to secure that and look for a slower Drake take so that it can't just be stolen away from you by the Wukong and get over the wall. Bro did everything they needed to in the bottom lane to start dragon, and was the secure of the dragon that got a little bit murky, as ends up being a longer exchange here, as Sponge just goes over the wall here. They had the controller like you mentioned, but just able to press smite. And then we see Yehu come over here to try to salvage this, but it was a pipe dream. He is going to go down. So I think a worthwhile trade, though. He didn't flash either, knowing he was dead. So I'd say he's feeling pretty happy about that, and now potentially they can contest the grubs.
Yeah, should be able to. We saw WA TV yesterday talking about the different spacing in the objectives nowadays. WA TV is here today once again, but we're not going to go over it again. If you weren't paying attention yesterday, you missed it.
Oh, we did was like already locking in the timestamp right now, Valdez.
It's, you know, there's a dragon, and then there's the grubs, and then there's another dragon.
So look at what they've done, you know, leading into what you're saying. After they end up getting the steal, they swap top side, so they have LazyField and Andal up there. Rich comes down here with his ultimate to the bottom lane, so even though he doesn't have TP, he can outpace this Yorick using his ult, so he gets plates. So DRX get this value, have a little bit of top side control moving into this one. Sponge hits level 6, and it's really important for this Yorick to get 2 grubs, I think, is really what you want, but 3 ultimately would be the best case scenario. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that at this stage. Now, Yehu does not have his Weaver's Wall back up just yet, but it should be ready in time for some zoning here. Closer does currently have prio. And this angle for Sponge is, you know, fast track straight towards the grubs, and this is going to be a really important moment here. If DRX can get both objectives, it really takes a lot out of Bro's comp.
Yeah. There's that control ward in the back of the pit. And we talked a lot about how the grubs aren't all that nowadays, but still feels bad to just lose them for free. And
yeah, when you have a Yorick.
It's still an objective as well that get you the piece of strength, and as you mentioned, the Yorick, even the Azir can get some side lane pressure, depending. And as we can see, Krako's just not here. He's just going into the enemy jungle, and they know this is going on. So Krako's either trying to steal the red or trying to gank a Scion.
Yeah,
stealing the red is fine, but like it's not as good as the Grugs.
Closer's also just kind of chilling. Like, he didn't try to match Yehu or deny his rotation, nor did he go over with Krako. So he's not going to be able to do anything to Rich, and he's just going to catch this wave now. But yeah, 2 objectives going over here to DRX. Feeling really good about what the game state is for them. And even though the gold is dead even, I feel like they played this early game really well. And this Kalista got a little bit of value early and still up 200 gold, but the prio was what they were really looking for, and that steal just put a huge wrench into all the gears of Bro's early game. I love this composition, though, with Kalista Azir, because you do have that scaling later on. The Azir is going to be able to cut through the Scion, as you mentioned in draft. So it's not like, okay, they lost the first 2 objectives, now the whole game plan is ruined, but it doesn't feel like you got as much value as you could have.
Yeah. Not really sure what the issue was for Bro and why they were so apprehensive, but it is Bro, so, you know, just a little Bro and brew. I, once again today, am drinking water.
Valdez stays hydrated.
Nothing too interesting. I had a coffee yesterday.
Whoa.
That was T1 versus Hama Life, which we were like, hey, this is going to be so hype! And then Hama just shoved them into the ground.
Yeah, you'll have to remind me as a T1 Predator who was, you were also T1 Predator. We were both
technically, yes.
Trying.
No, I didn't believe that they were going to win.
I was a believer, and I was proven wrong, but we don't, this is old history now, but rub it in, Valdez.
I didn't mention the Preds.
Yeah, you did mention the series that you thought might be interesting but wasn't.
Yeah.
And so that kind of reminds me.
It was supposed to be interesting. We have another one of those not yesterday, not tomorrow. Later today.
Yeah, in like
KT
one
versus
series.
Gen G, which it's not supposed to be interesting, but it might be interesting. So it's like the opposite.
Look at how many minions are being lost in the reswap here. Bull gets the end of that wave on the bottom lane, and Morgan loses a full wave nearly, it looks like here, because he didn't quite have his teleport. It's like 10 seconds away. And you can see, you know, DRX are just playing the map better, playing this early game really well. And it's these small things like losing half a wave here, losing a full wave there that aren't going to be reflected in your 17.1 to 17.2 gold lead, but it's small advantages starting to be generated across the map, and we're going to see potentially a contest here. I say that Yehu will have to TP in first. Okay, decides to stop his back. He has Weaver's Wall, but they're just too slow, and Bro, this time they're going to get the objective for free, and maybe more.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to look for Sponge here, who does have flash and ult, but the flash on him from Krako catches him off guard, and Sponge, he just dies. It just felt like there were so many ways for him to get out of that, and he just elected not to.
Yeah, that was a little bit bizarre, especially after just a no contest there. You know, just kind of stayed around the area. You could see there were some moments of hesitation. Like I saw on the minimap, Yehu channels most of his back, then stops his back, but doesn't rotate over. Like clearly there was miscommunication, or at least split calls on that dragon take. Because Yehu had Weaver's Wall, but he wanted to go back and get his first item, or some components rather. Doesn't quite have enough money for first item, but yeah, that just did not work out at all. Speaking of first item, Closer does have his Nashor's Tooth completed after that kill that he picked up there onto the Wukong, so he's feeling very good about his side lane pressure angles in this one, despite not having grubs.
I mean, Sponge and Yehu, they've probably played together in the past, but definitely not as much as Closer and Krako have played together. So LazyField taking a million sticks into him as the Ren should come through, but the Renata ult is totally going to miss, as we do have LazyField to just get popped as Bull waits for it, knows how to play with the Renata, still has the bell, but he does go down after the fact. The Sponge just barely going to clean that one up. Still a winning trade here for Bro.
Not sure if it was just a lot of tension relieved in his arms there, or if he was feeling himself after that one, put his hands off the keyboard up into the air. Ends up picking up his third kill of the game there in the end, right before he goes down. The bailout timing really nicely done, despite the ultimate there from Palu really not doing too much. Just Bull really knowing his all-in range there for how much he could actually pull off in this skirmish. So 3 kills to this Kalista. that, you know, when you're casting Bull, which only comes around once, like a full moon, you know, when Bull comes through, you just know what you're going to get, right? And we knew it in draft. We mentioned it. Fate's Call comes out here. Good flash from Lazyfield. The Renata ultimate here, unfortunately, just a little bit wide, and yet still Bull is able to time the Rend here on the bailout, gets the kill, and takes out the Nico here just in time with his last martial pose. You can see the arms that was telling him there. I think he wasn't happy with how that all went down. He's probably got some choice words for Palu, but ended up still playing it super well himself. Picks up 3 kills.
Yeah, I mean, still worth. He set up the whole play. Nice timing on the ult and, you know, some counter flashes and stuff like that. But I like how he waited until he went into the bailout to press the Rend. It's just 100% secure on the Kai'Sa. Lazyfield knew he was dead as well, but, like, what can you do at that point? Just try to auto in. And now Lazyfield really needs to be careful about stepping up to the wave without the Nico. Because if Nico's there, you know, maybe Bull can, like, flash on in, but that's extremely aggressive. But Lazyfield was just alone, right? And he just took a bunch of autos, and that's what kind of started that entire issue there.
Yeah, now the Blade of the Rune King is done, so will not be able to really have any chance of getting out of there, especially flashless, if that engage does, or the exchange does come through. And, you know, it's moments like these that, you know, a color commentator dreams of, where you set up the narrative. Bull should be winning this lane, you know, this is what he's good at, and it all just kind of falls into the patterns that you know, we've all been watching for this player. And Bull is so unique as a player because he's so good at this one specific skill set. But when you watch him unleashed, man, it is a real treat.
Yeah, we just got to see him be able to bring this lane pressure with these kills and actually be able to carry on into the mid game. As Sponge is going to go for the ults. Feels like more of a zoning ult. Quite literally, just to zone a little space for him to get out. The TP does come out from closer, but DRX had already backed quite a bit.
Yeah, the timing of this a little bit early for a Dragon take. The Dragon's not up for another minute. They're just going to go, well, you know what is up? We'll walk over to the other objective. We were all fighting around the Dragon Pit where the Dragon's a little bit late, but we'll take this Herald instead. They still have the Weaver, or sorry, not the Weaver's Wall, the Emperor's Divide. Yehu trying to find potentially an angle here to contest from the left side of the top lane, but I just don't see it.
Sponge doesn't have his ult, so you're missing one of your main engage options. They're still going to try to go for it. As the wall comes down, Palu in a bit of trouble, but it's Kalista Renata, so yeah, just able to press a button. Trading ultimates, I suppose.
Yeah, unfortunately for Yehu and Sponge, the woes of this lack of synergy do continue as Andil.
Going in, Andil might be in a little trouble. No, he's actually totally fine. Yeah, does get away. Meanwhile, trying to create space here for the next Dragon.
Yehu's doing a decent amount of damage here. Health bar is pretty low. And so forcing a fight here without Emperor's Divide will be a little bit tricky. Yehu taking a big chunk of damage, though. And now, I mean, Morgan having Prio bottom side, perhaps they can actually fight for this Dragon. Yehu does have teleport, but won't have his Weaver's Wall, so he can actually channel this back. We'll see if he finishes it this time. The answer is yes. And this is going to be a big fight here. Both teams not really fully set up, but Yehu having full health here is actually just going to go to the top lane, and I think that might be the contest, or the give, rather.
I mean, Sponge is here. He has his ult. He's about to get his flash, actually. The timing was uncanny that he was about to be ready for it. Now we're just having a TP behind them, and again, Yehu doesn't have TP, so he can't be part of this fight. Morgan coming in here on the Yorick, and not the best flanking character, but in this angle, I feel like it's very good, as Morgan is going to pick up the kill. And now they got a Rift Herald in mid, and yes, DRX got the mid turret, but that's all they're going to get. They're going to lose their mid turret, and they lost the Drake. A bit of pressure in top, but Yehu, he just kind of decided, I'm not helping my team. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Yeah, I do think there's clearly a bit of an issue communication-wise between mid and jungle in this one. I mean, you called it out early, but we've seen it now like basically 3 times where there've been some indecisive moments for DRX and Bro. Just, they won't hesitate. I mean, this is a team that has had pretty good macro here in round 2, and they just pulled the trigger. Sure, they did kind of miss on that Dragon earlier. The Grubs did go over, but otherwise have had full control. And Bro wishes they had 3 Grubs. I think with the game state especially, DRX wish they had some Mountain Dragons, because they're the ones with the Scion and the Wukong in their composition, as this is just a really great call from Morgan. So obviously seeing the TP of the Taliyah topside, knowing she doesn't have Weaver's Wall, you're like, well, it's illegal for you to take this turret. It will not go unpunished, and we have Rift Herald to counter. So we get Dragon, we get mid-turret trade, and yes, you know, a little bit of extra pushing and some extra farming did go over to Yehu, and he has a 500 gold lead because he hasn't joined these fights and has otherwise spent some time farming, but, you know, when he hits his 2 items, it's going to feel nice, but is it kind of too late? Like, was it worth it is the real question we have to ask, and right now it feels like no.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very worth. And I think Bro, every time they get a Mountain Drake, they're going to be very happy. And it's not because they have a traditional tank on their team. It's because they have Kalista.
Yeah, Kalista builds tanky. And, like, if we go to super late game, we'll have, like, a Jack shows. And here's a Weaver's Wall.
Well, opportunity here. Paulo just going to set up his ult. Krako is Xinjiao. And Fate's Call available. Nice angle here, though, for Rich to come in from the top lane. Krako in a bit of trouble. Just flashes away. Closer, though, getting to work on the bottom side. And Sponge can't get the kill onto Krako as they go so deep for it. But now Closer is alone. Flashing in by himself. As Bull going to take a massive Scion stun to the face and just die. No Ren comes through. Krako also goes down, and DRX turned this fight around somehow, some way, as it was a very messy one. And Yehu will pick up the double kill. Morgan just in top pushing.
Messi does not do it justice for this. Like, this fight looked like it was going to start off great for DRX, but they chased too deep. And it's the second time in a row where they Weaver's Wall engage onto Palu, who has his ult available and can be Fates called away by Bull. So, you know, we watch this replay, notice the beginning of the fight looks like, oh, maybe we've got an angle here. And then they chase deep onto Krako. So engaging onto a Renata, normally kind of a fine decision, especially if she's just alone, man. You get her ultimate out, you're like, cool, this is super high value. But she gets Fates called out. Rich's angle here almost saves the play, but Krako is Xinjiao, so killing him is, it's just not going to happen. They don't have the damage. Sponge gets knocked up as well, which is really important. But then on the other side of the fight, Closer hard chases here and doesn't hit his Emperor's Divide, which was bizarre. And then Bull wants to go for some extra Ren damage and just eats the big knockup from Rich and then dies. And then Krako gets shoved back. And DRX, despite some of their mistakes in the early part of this fight, do end up cleaning up because Bro just over-indexed on the wrong moments. Yehu feeling himself, and he is the most fed member on their team. He ends up cleaning up. Now he's got 2 items. Now he's 1,000 gold up over Closer. And if he can just start making the right calls at the right moments, I mean, this Talia could be big in this game for sure.
Yeah. It feels like Yehu's got his own game plan, and it's working out somehow. Was able to bait Closer into that fight and overextension. And, yeah, whatever it takes. Not sure how he managed it. But, yeah, he's quite fed. The rest of his team behind, but not by too much. And I feel like for DRX, next look has to be at this Dragon. You got Otacon up available as well. So you have to, first of all, respect the Kalista and Bro's ability to start up objectives, but also you have to get position on them before. Unlike every single other objective we've seen so far in this game, they have to be ready to take these, and Yehu has to be there too.
No, 100%. And I think, considering Weaver's Wall's up, teleport's up, you know, you have the tools. And also, Morgan isn't deep in the side lane against a Scion that doesn't have TP or anything like that. Like, you have the means to actually fight this straight up, although Rich may be going a little bit too deep here.
You do have the bottom lane coming on up, so Morgan in a bit of trouble, but Krako is Xinjiao, and they just turn on the Lazy Field. That is going to be the kill. No knock-up here for Ondil, and Lazy Field gets one, Rich gets the other. The rotation quicker for DRX.
There's just no vision for Bro really on this side of the map, so they thought it's a winning play, but they're really arguably counter-ganked here, essentially, as Lazy Field can engage from so far away with his ultimate, and that's all it takes. Killer Instinct in, and they're just too slow on the play, and there's no response, there's no Closer TP. So if you look at the minimap now, you know, what Krako didn't know at the time is everybody's coming up. This is why Rich is making this play. They baited it, and then Krako's like, I can kill this Kai'Sa, no problem. But unfortunately, there's just not enough damage here, and everybody on DRX shows up. In live, Otacon taken, it looks like, or at least started, by DRX. Because of that pick there topside, Yehu can just zone with his wall. I think this one's just gone.
Yep. It's crazy to see, you know, a couple kills in top lane manage to make its way all the way down to the Otacon, but okay, not even going to smite because you don't have to. Can save it for the Drake. They're going to try to extend to the Drake. This is on vision, though. Can be a bit risky. And now that they started, immediately Bro does come on over. But now Bro's going to start it. Now DRX have the onus on them to kind of stick around.
Yeah, remember that Weaver's Wall still up here for Yehu. Clears that wave. Closer trying to deny his flank, though. Really nice positioning here on the Azir. Here he comes and says no.
I mean, Okay, 2 walls. Which one is better? Big knockups though from the Nico and the Scion. Just insane stuff as in his bull underneath the Dragon, but that's not where he wanted to be. Both AD carries are down, but his 4v5 here. Yehu a bit out of mana though. They're trying to take down Closer, and 1 knockup will get it done. Very close actually. If he lives there, maybe he has enough. As Yehu flashes away, but he will go down, and no bailout comes through here.
I think we're going to coin
Palu.
a new phrase here, Valdez, as Palu goes down. That's Rise Group, baby!
Oh, God.
Oh,
it's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time, right? And it's happening before Rise Group is even fully unlocked, before we're even split, because these two teams are playing against potentially some Legend groups later on. As I'm kind of with you in that the Emperor's Divide here doesn't necessarily need to be deployed here, and then Closer sticks around trying to deny Yehu's entry so long that he's just not doing any damage, like at all. Yes, they get the turn here onto Lazyfield, and it's good play from Croco to take him out there, but now Closer doesn't have ult, and this fight is so incredibly split. He tries to go in onto Yehu, which is not the first time we've seen this, and then Yehu just outplays him. Yehu is the most fed member on the side of DRX, so denying his entry is a good idea in theory, but in practice, I think it just took Closer out of the fight as well, and then Yehu was able to get so much more done anyways. So Closer looking for the outplay there, both in the denial of the entry, but then also on the attempt to assassinate him, and just gets taken out because it's not a 1v1, and he's not ahead, by the way. Closer is now 2,000 gold behind. The Yehu, who has a arm guard in his inventory as well with the extra money. So DRX really fighting their way back into a very strong lead at this point, securing the Dragon. And bro, I like the idea, but the execution was a little bit much.
Yeah, not the first time we said that either. Does kind of give you Rise Group vibes when you're saying that, because you know, you think of the right thing, but sometimes you just don't press your buttons in the right way. Bull, after his early start, is now down 1,000 gold. Kalista not able to get very much value in that last fight. That is the clone.
Yeah. It doesn't say clone above her head to them.
Yeah.
Just to us. And
well, I don't think he would be backing in the lane there, but, you know, maybe. You never know.
I mean, if you can burst that clone down, a little bit of extra gold. Every little bit helps when you are 3,000 gold down. So the game state here not looking great with Yorick. It says on the middle of the screen that he's up 450 gold, but I do see a 2-level gap with Otacon, and Rich is just not interested in backing down. He's like, yeah, nice side laning Yorick. Side lane Scion is here with 3 grubs. And he's ulting in.
Yeah, he's ganking. And they're up against a wall and a Scion. The wall's not going to do too much. They're trying to engage here onto Rich, who I don't think that's the target you want, guys. Croco in a lot of trouble is going to get bailed out and just die. Morgan is also here. I didn't even notice. He's already dead. And, yeah, just going to ult on top of him. Might as well. Free kill here for Lazyfield. And this is giving me, I don't know, Wolf. I think I'm kind of feeling it, you know. Burrow had this early lead, and I think a lot of people got pretty complacent. We're not seeing enough Rotax.
Yeah, I think people are not paying.
That is the issue. How could this happen this quickly?
They thought it was a big enough gold lead. They're like, no, I'm exempt. No, you're not. You're never exempt. Never in the Rise Group battle. Not gonna happen. DRX gonna take Baron off of this. Closer TPs to shove a wave, and I guess he got Rich's TP, but he won't get the turret. And DRX are in prime position to close this one out. I mean, not off this Baron push necessarily, but it should be enough momentum here to get them the Dragon, which is sole point. And like in moments like this, it's really just the collapse from the side laners that are winning that makes all the difference. Sure, the Weaver's Wall isn't the greatest, and like, yes, the Rich ultimate isn't massive, it doesn't hit a big prio target, but you're just so far ahead as DRX that you see their attempt to re-engage and you just outplay it. As Bull is trying his best, he's like Marshall posing the Q, but then Lazyfield is like, well, you're not a real champion, you can't fight, and he just gets the kill. It's 2 kills over to DRX, Baron over to DRX. Off of just a side lane collapse. And again, it wasn't even the best one, but it's enough tempo advantage here to really push things into DRX's favor. With the extra money this time, Yehu completes his Zonias, and they'll have that Void Staff here pretty soon. This Talia is massive. Sure, some shaky decision-making early on, but has really strongly been the carry for this roster mid-game and onwards.
Yeah, he used the money very well. You know, the initial play to give up the dragon would be fine if your entire team wasn't there trying to set up for the dragon, right? Like if you're making the trade and your team's doing stuff elsewhere, that's fine. But yeah, ends up being okay. He's farming, he's winning, he's carrying.
And Bull
he's great.
Is also an item behind now. You know, he was one of the most fed members early on. He had those 3 kills. And he was in prime position to push through the mid game, but the fights were just so broken up, so messy for Bro that now he's 4-3. The gold gap is the largest, technically, in the bottom lane, and he just can't cut through the Scion very well. And it's now going to be a Scion with an extra Mountain Dragon worth of resistances, and Mountain Soul could be on the cards this game, but even just 2 individual elemental Mountain Drakes feels pretty rough when you are the Kalista in this scenario, or the Azir, that's also significantly behind in this game. I mean, both of them can get it done with enough time, but, you know, if you're hitting a Scion, that means that Yehu and LazyFeel are otherwise just winning the fight. As we have a bit of a group up here to maybe try to punish Closer. Don't think it's going to happen. Oh!
Stopped his back.
Small victory.
Yep. It made us make an audible sound.
Well, it should be, you know, either a fight here, at least they can force on this inner, or just the inner itself, as they are really well grouped here, and Rich is pushing mid. Love the aggressive setup here for DRX.
Yeah, it's going to wall them off. Kind of a safe wall. Not sure if necessary, but it's going to 100% get them this turret. So they get that inner. Only 10 seconds left, so just going to wait on the 4,000 gold Baron power play, or it was until Morgan got this turret.
Bounty, keeping him ahead in the top lane matchup, 200 gold up.
Better than being behind, I guess.
He's going to tell his teammates, check the gold diff post-game screen. It wasn't my fault. I don't know if it was any individual player's fault what happened in this game, but it was certainly a lot of greed and aggressive calls in team fights that cost them this one, I would say.
Yeah, that one fight around the dragon, like, I just want to erase that one. Pretend it didn't happen. Well, I don't even feel like Morgan's playing so badly. He's just like in the situation down now 3 levels to a Scion as Yorick. It's like, how did this happen?
Yeah, well, I think we all want to erase that fight from our minds, but especially Pro fans do. Degon's going to have to queue it up, though, on the space a little bit later. I'm pretty sure they're going to be breaking that one down.
Highlight 2. Oh, boy.
It was such a good start for Bro in the fight, you know? But the ending was a little bit less pleasant. And I think you indexed into a lot here with this draft, too. Like, you had the Azir for Closer so that Bull can play his Kalista. That pairing is so strong. And Bull had the laning phase he was looking for. He had the early 3 kills. I mean, everything goes right for Bro, and they still mess it up. You know, it starts to make you feel like, wow, what's draft for Game 2 going to look like? You know, Morgan's already used his Yorick. And, you know, when Bro get the Bro-mentum, things feel great. But when they're backs against the wall here, a little bit concerning. Morgan has done the most damage in the game to a Scion.
Yeah,
I mean, that he's losing.
That always happens. The Scion Ridge is going to have high damage, too, because they're just hitting each other over and over again. It's kind of sad, honestly. It's needless violence, you know? Like, it doesn't mean anything.
But look, he's still 5 gold up. He's top damage. If this was a solo, if it was a solo queue game, he could say top gap. My jungle, mid, bot, and support were trolling.
Yeah.
It was only me. Yes, I was 2 levels down, but I did more damage while I lost that side lane into the Scion, and I beefed my numbers up. But Morgan's not a solo queue player, and he is going to be feeling very sad about things right now. But if it was solo queue, you know, that's what he'd say.
I do feel like the Scion has also had a bigger impact on this game.
100%. He had an impact. Morgan, unfortunately, so far has not.
Yeah, it just feels like, you know, that's kind of the way it goes in this matchup unless the Yorick gets ahead and can really pressure the side lane. But. And
it's also, I think, you know, one of the games, sometimes Otacon we're like, whatever. Feats of Strength, sometimes we're like, whatever. But this game, yeah, Bro got Feats of Strength. Wasn't that impactful because they didn't, you know, end up winning enough fights to get tier 3 boots on anyone other than their AD carry, right? And Bull is still an item down, so it doesn't really matter. And then the Otacon buff comes through and you're like, wait, Yorick is 2 levels down? It's actually extremely significant in this case. He can't side lane. He's supposed to be able to do that. So the draft, which is already, you know, at that time, like, what, 4,000 gold behind, is just falling apart. And now DRX are happily just going to start up this Baron. Closer does have TP, but good luck.
Yeah, I mean, this vision is denied for the moment. Krako might just have to send it in. Let's see. Nope, not going to go for it. And it did go down very fast.
The Weaver's wall was just like kind of towards Bro. And he's like, yep, that's good enough. I've done my job here.
Stuck it into the heart of Bros. I do have a dragon. Very important. Can't give over Mountain Soul to DRX or it's 100% GG. Especially with the Kalista on your team. And still no Void Staff here for Closer, who's still behind and just trying to make any kind of item. So DRX is going to force their way into this one, as they know the importance of this objective as well. We are seismic shoving the Maiden. As Morgan's here because, well, this is, again, just one of those team fights where you kind of have to be here. Can't be side laning and give away the Mountain Soul. It's not going to work out very well. As follow flash, escape flash from Closer. Now, if Rich is standing here alone, maybe Closer eventually kills him.
Yeah, in 10 years, we'll still be watching it, but...
Still no Void Staff.
Redemption.
Nice engage here from the side of Andel. Is going to get into the corner, but we do have a safe Azir who's doing a decent amount of damage. Sponge trying to take down Closer, but he gets bailed out as well. The tops of the fight is going all the way of DRX, and eventually Closer goes down, and DRX say, oh, we didn't want that dragon anyway. We'll just get a quad kill for LazyField.
LazyField before the game, looking like he was feeling the pressure, playing this matchup. Didn't go well for him at level 1. But he gets the last laugh in the end, assassinates Bull in the final team fight, and DRX will walk down mid to end the game. Big comeback in this one after what was a rocky mid-game here for Bro. Bro had, I feel like, all the cards in this one, but they certainly did not utilize them to their full potential. And Rich is just going to tank turrets as the Nexus explodes, and DRX take game 1 here. Yehu feeling himself. You know, not the greatest Weaver walls we've ever seen. You know, I'm sure what did was probably raising his eyebrows at least one of them, at least maybe 3 of them. But at the end of the day, he was the most fed member.